miles from the nearest road. This cabin is
The storm announced itself long before it arrived.
Survival here is
The sky above the mountains had turned the color of old iron, heavy and bruised, and the wind began to whisper through the pines like a warning passed from tree to tree. Out here, more than 50 miles from the nearest town and completely off the grid, those signs mattered. They were not poetic details, they were survival signals. The wooden cabin stood alone at the edge of a frozen clearing, half buried already under weeks of accumulated snow. Built from thick spruce logs cut by hand years ago, it was small but solid, designed to endure winters that could crush weaker structures. Smoke curled slowly from the chimney, disappearing almost instantly into the gray sky. Inside, life was simple, deliberate, and constantly measured against the cold. This was not a place for comfort. It was a place for endurance. By late afternoon, the first heavy flakes began to fall, large, wet, and fast. Within minutes, the world beyond the cabin blurred, swallowed by white. Visibility dropped to a few meters. The temperature plunged sharply, and the wind strengthened, slamming snow against the cabin walls like handfuls of gravel. This wasn't just another winter snowfall. This was a full-blown blizzard. Inside, preparations shifted into motion with a practiced urgency. Firewood was stacked tightly along the wall, split and dried months earlier in anticipation of storms like this. Every piece mattered. Out here, heat wasn't comfort, it was life. The wood stove roared as logs were fed into it, the metal ticking and groaning as it adjusted to the rising heat. The cabin smelled of smoke, resin, and old pine, a scent that meant safety. Thick wool blankets were laid out near the sleeping area. Extra candles were placed within reach. The kerosene lamp was checked twice. When the storm cut power in the city, people waited. When it came here, there was no one to wait for. As darkness fell early, the blizzard intensified. Snow piled up rapidly against the door, climbing inch by inch, pressing with silent force. Wind howled through the trees, bending them, snapping dead branches like matchsticks. Each crack echoed like a gunshot in the night. Stepping outside now would be dangerous, but sometimes necessary. Bundled in layers of wool, fur-lined boots, and a weather-beaten parka, the door was forced open with effort. The snow had already reached knee-height. The world outside was a white void, disorienting and violent. Wind tore at exposed skin instantly, stealing heat in seconds. Breathing burned the lungs. The first task was clearing the chimney. Heavy snow could choke it, trapping smoke inside, a deadly mistake. Using a long pole, ice and snow were knocked loose while fighting the wind's resistance. Hands numbed quickly despite thick gloves. Every movement had to be efficient. No wasted energy. No hesitation. Next came the solar panels, barely visible under a thick blanket of snow. They provided minimal power in winter, but even that little bit mattered, for the radio, for emergency lights. Clearing them felt almost pointless under the storm clouds, but survival was built on habits, not hope. Back inside, the door was sealed again, snow brushed off clothing, boots placed near the stove to dry. The cabin creaked as the wind slammed into it. Logs shifted. The roof groaned under the increasing weight. The storm showed no sign of slowing. That night, sleep came in fragments. Every few hours, the fire had to be fed. Let it die, and the cold would creep in quickly, turning breath to frost inside the cabin. The stove was the heart of this place. If it failed, everything failed. Between sleep and wakefulness, the mind wandered. In the city, winter was something to be escaped, heated rooms, hot showers, noise. Out here, winter was a constant presence, a force that demanded respect. There was no illusion of control. only cooperation. By morning, the cabin was nearly buried. Opening the door required full body weight. Snow poured in like a living thing, eager to claim the warmth inside. The storm had stacked drifts higher than the windows. The landscape was unrecognizable, no trees, no clearing, no sky. Just endless white. The first priority was digging out. With a shovel and a snow saw, a narrow tunnel was carved from the door outward, creating a small passage to breathe and move. Snow this heavy was exhausting to move. Each scoop felt heavier than the last. Sweat formed quickly, dangerous in these temperatures. Wet clothing could kill faster than hunger. Frequent breaks were necessary, each one carefully timed. Drink water. Slow breathing. Check fingers for numbness. Check the sky, still snowing. Still brutal. Hours passed like this. The sun remained hidden. Time lost meaning. At midday, a sudden, sharp crack echoed across the clearing. A nearby tree, weakened by wind and snow load, gave way and crashed to the ground. The sound shook the air, a reminder of how quickly things could turn fatal. A falling tree could crush the cabin without warning. Fear crept in, but it was controlled. Panic wastes energy. Fear, when respected, sharpens focus. Inside again, a simple meal was prepared, dried beans soaked overnight, a bit of smoked meat, melted snow boiled carefully on the stove. Food tasted different in these conditions. Not indulgent, but deeply satisfying. Each bite carried effort, planning, survival. The radio crackled faintly. Weather reports confirmed what was already known: this storm would last days. Roads were impassable. Rescue was impossible. This was a self-contained world now. The second night was the hardest. Wind found new ways to sneak through cracks in the logs. Snow continued to build. The roof needed constant attention, periodic clearing to reduce the weight. Each trip outside felt more dangerous than the last. Fatigue set in, deep and heavy, making every decision slower. At one point, the fire dipped dangerously low while sleeping. The cabin temperature dropped quickly. Waking to cold air biting at the face was a shock of pure fear. Logs were thrown in, hands shaking as flames slowly returned. Minutes felt like hours. This was the thin line between survival and disaster. By the third day, the storm finally began to weaken. Snow still fell, but lighter now, gentler. The wind softened. Silence slowly returned to the forest, broken only by the occasional thud of snow dropping from tree branches. Stepping outside that morning felt different. The world was transformed, buried, reshaped, humbled. Drifts towered over the cabin. The sky, pale and exhausted, hinted at blue beyond the clouds. Survival wasn't loud. It didn't come with music or celebration. It came quietly, in small victories: a fire still burning, a roof still standing, a body still warm. Digging out would take days. Life wouldn't return to normal anytime soon. But normal didn't exist out here. Only seasons, storms, and the steady rhythm of effort. As the sun finally broke through the clouds, casting light across the endless white, one truth settled deep into the bones. Extreme off-grid winter life isn't about conquering nature. It's about enduring it, respecting it, and learning, again and again, how small you really are, and how strong you can become when survival depends on your own hands. In that moment, standing beside a weathered wooden cabin buried in snow, with frozen breath rising into the cold air, survival felt like the greatest achievement of all.